Hi, this is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, and this video note is for Melissa Matlock and the Graham County. This is the new independent planner for Graham County. I'm going to go ahead and log in with my administrative login. Melissa already has her own login for this also. So we log in, and then we're going to go ahead and look at doing booth layouts for the fairgrounds. This will be using the combination of the pod controls and the single booth controls. Now here we have the drop down with the various areas. We've got two fair view areas. One, fair view 1, which is an extended view. You can see over there on the right hand side we've left some more territory. And then fair view 2 is a much closer up one, and this is what we're going to use to do our demonstration of how to lay out the booths. So one of the things we're using is a map that we got off the Graham County website. We're going to go ahead and load this up and let you see what it looks like all laid out. You can see we've gone ahead and laid over the buildings, but I would suggest that you have separate building plans also, so you can really take in consideration utilities and accurate interior measurements, but it seems to work here. Let's zoom in and look around a little bit. Now you notice that we haven't numbered these booths, and I'll explain why that is in just a bit. Okay, we'll delete the plan. We're going to zoom back out again. Now let's look back at the layout page that we got for you guys, which has got the booth layouts here. We're going to go ahead and start on that middle south outside area. It's a 10 by 20 booth. There's 4 booths in a row, and there are 3 aisles. We're going to go ahead and guess that the aisle sizes are 20 feet. So to begin with, we go to the booth layout control, and again the booth pod is where we lay out automatically groups of booths. The single booth control is where we would edit those individual booths or make copies. So we're going to go ahead and make the length 10 and the width 20. We're going to go ahead and say 4 booths in a row, and number of aisles 3, and the width of aisles 20. Now the important thing is we're going to go ahead and make a horizontal layout, not a vertical. So this is your orientation here. There's up and down or vertical layouts, and then if we go over to the right, we've got a horizontal layout choice. Now again, we're not going to worry about the automatic numbering right now. We're going to go ahead and hit new. Now there is a triangle always to the bottom left of your pod, and that's what you drag the whole group from. Now here we see we have an extra booth here at the end of that top row. So what we simply do is we click on a booth, and then we'll hit new to make a copy, and then add that extra booth into the link. So we click on the booth, hit new, and looky here, this is a single booth move checkbox. So when we check it, we can move the booths freely. Normally when we're selling booths or doing some kind of editing where we're not manipulating the position, we have that off so we don't accidentally nudge it. So there it goes into place. And that's your layout. That's how quick it took to do that one. Now let's go ahead and think about doing our middle one. Again, this is our booth pod handle, which allows you to pull it around in place. So we'll zoom out a little bit, and we'll go ahead and look at this middle section. Now if we look at our map, we'll see that it's actually 6 booths in a row because you've cut out an aisle there. And we're going to say that it's actually 3 aisles, and you'll see why in just a second. When Fairs MI makes a booth grouping, it does the classic single booth row on each side and then a double booth in the middle. So if we go ahead and change this to 20 by 10 instead of 10 by 20, we put the 6 booths in a row, we go ahead and make it that vertical layout, and we hit new. Now when we drag it into place, we've got those 2 double rows like we needed, and we've got these extra booths on the outside. So this is a circumstance where we automatically make our layout, but we have to trim off some booths on each end. You simply click each booth and delete it. So there we go. Now we've got 2 sections done. Now if we look at the building areas where you've laid out booths on top of the buildings, we'll see that we've got a situation here where we've got a single middle row, not a double middle row, and of course the single rows on each side. So now when we go do our pod control, this will be a situation where instead of trimming booths off of our layout, we're going to add a few onto it. So we're going to make it 10 booths in a row, 10 by 10 booths. Now we're only going to make it one aisle, and you'll see why in a second. And the width of the aisles is going to be 10 feet. And we're going to make it a horizontal layout, and we're going to hit new. Now it always puts the pod to the right hand side of the last pod you created. If you don't have any pods, it's the first one. It always puts it up there in the upper left-hand corner, but it always puts it to the right of the last one you made. You grab that triangle handle, we put it into place, and then we're going to zoom in, and this is again a case where instead of like the last one where we had to trim off booths, we add some. So we click on the booth, we hit new, and we'll hit it several times, because what we're going to do is just drag each booth into place. Now there's some techniques that we can use to make sure that it's exactly the right width. In this case, we happen to know that it goes up against the wall. So now all I do is hit new, new, new again, and put some more in there. Now we're going to have to add 3 more. So now the only thing we have to do after we get this in place is we've got to trim off the ends of those middles, because that's what our layout showed. Now what's interesting about this is we've got another building that has the exact same layout. So if I was to have saved just this one pod layout, I would be able to actually add it to the second booth without having to recreate it by saving it again. You'll see in our files control, it's called staged, and we'll show you in a second. But this is very useful when you have standard layouts, particularly inside for maybe a banquet setup or a bar setup or something like that. And so you can always just add these in. Let me go ahead and hit File. We click the stage. Whoops, I start to load too soon. Just a second. Got to hit that staged first. Now we go to our load, and I've already saved that individual pod before we started the demo. So there it is right there. I hit OK, and it's going to drop it right into where the original was. So I just grab that handle, and now I don't even have to redraw it. So there's certain circumstances where if you think ahead, you can save some of these individual layouts. So now we've got, at the end here, we've got a circumstance where it's a 25 by 25 booth. And if we look at it, we can already see that it's going to be on a slight angle. So there's a way to do this too, where we're going to go ahead and rather than create a group, we're going to do a minimum pod. We're going to basically start with a single booth. So we do that by making it one booth in a row and one aisle, and then we make our 25 by 25 size. We don't particularly worry about the orientation or the width of it because we're going to delete one of the copies when it creates it. So it makes this, we grab the triangle handle, drag it over, and we're going to get rid of one of those, so we only start with one booth. Now if we zoom in, I'll show you the trick to make multiple booths with all the same rotation. It is done one at a time. First we click the booth, we go to our little asterisk there, the advanced control, and we go ahead and let's try 5 degrees for our angle. It looks pretty good. So now if we want to make more booths at that same angle all the way down, then what we would do is we would hit new, hit that asterisk sign again, and then hit OK because it'll have the default rotation. There's the asterisk sign again. There's our 5 degrees. So now we go ahead and just hit OK, and we drag that into place. Or we go ahead and just hit new again. Hit the asterisk, hit OK. We can just keep doing it that way and drag the boost into place whenever we feel like it. And we got to put one more in there. So we'll scroll down a little bit, hit new, asterisk, OK, and there we go. So now all the booths we've created so far have been the what we call normals, which are white, black and white booths, and they're rectangles. But you've got some other objects to put in here, like a beer tent, covered seating, and a stage. We can see it on here. And as we're looking at this, you can see that you've already got the booths numbered. One of the things I suggest is that when you're creating these layouts, that you go ahead, and it's much quicker if you go ahead and make the layouts without trying to number them ahead of time. So to make the beer tent, I'm going to click on a booth, hit new, drag it into place. I'm going to go ahead and change the size. I'm just guessing that the size of your beer booth. We'll make it 50 by, oh, I don't know, 40. And we're going to go ahead and type in beer. And we're going to go ahead and, if I hit new, see it makes a copy. If I hit OK, it would change the one that we have. So it still isn't a tent yet. So we're going to hit our asterisk sign. Instead of rotation, we're going to go to our list of icons. All kinds of different objects. You can see there's the trailers and the geometric representations, and here's some other things. We're going to go all the way down to tents. There's ground objects, there's tents. Hit tent, now it's a tent. So we've got to go ahead and add in our seating. So I hit new again, still a beer tent. We go over and we'll go ahead and change it to seating. And we'll go ahead and change the size. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now we'll go to our drop down of things, and we're going to go look for a geometric color symbol. So we'll hit red line, hit OK. There's your seating area. Now we need a stage, so you guessed it, we're going to hit new again. We're going to change the label to stage, and we're going to change the size. And we're going to change the color so we can go ahead and see the difference. And drag that into place. So basically that's the way you keep building up on these singular entities. We've created some groups here with our booth pod control, and then we've used the single booth control to create copies of objects and then change the characteristics of them. Now looky here, we're going to go ahead and grab our beer tent again, and we're going to grab him and drag him over to our carnival area and just kind of play around here for a second and show you that you can actually put in the carnival rides. We went ahead years ago and worked with the industry to get the correct sizes and configurations for various popular rides on the carnival sites. I'm just going to at random say 80 by 80, but when we go to the drop down, we're going to have to scroll all the way down, which is where the carnivals are at the bottom. You can see we got a lot of different rides, and they're all sized out to the at the side of the tab title, which tells you what sizes is. Here's a Century Carousel, and it's 45 by 45. So we'll change that. All right, so now we're going to click on it, and we're going to hit New. We're going to go ahead and make another ride. Here's the yo-yo. It's 73 by 73. We'll put that into place. Let's go ahead and look for a Ferris wheel. There it is. It actually says it's 31.75 by 83.2, but we'll go ahead. You can put that exact size in, but we'll go ahead and round it off. You'll see right now it looks misshapen because we haven't resized it. And there you go. So one of the things we'll want to do, oh, and if you want to make an angle, put it on an angle, let's go ahead and do that. There you go. So one of the things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to save this to our personal folder. We always want to make a new title. Don't save files over each other because it'll be very helpful, especially in the beginning, if you can go back and recapture some of the other stuff you've done if you may happen to make a mistake and don't catch it till later. Here's your sales planner. So now you'll put in the company name, and you'll put in a description, and these are what the public can see, but the notes that go below that are strictly what you, the coordinator, sees. So it will let you know any special information that that particular vendor needs for his booth. All you do is go ahead and hit OK. You can hit a status for it, like sold, and you can let these colors represent whatever you like. Now when we hit the exhibitor data and click on that booth, you see it brings it up. So with this exhibitor data, you can actually do searches or click on specific booths and see who's in what. Now one of the reasons why we don't number until the very last is that we want to have the whole layout first and then create a numbering system that actually flows and makes sense. So I found it a lot easier and a lot faster to do your numbering in one shot after you've got your layout done. You know, obviously you'll add on some other booths and add numbers, but it'll make it an entirely a lot easier job in terms of creating a numerical system that makes sense if you do that after you've gotten your layout complete. So there you go. You've got your various rides, your booths, your different objects, and I'm going to go ahead and put a copy of this in your file so that you can play with it and take a look at it. But the services, exhibitor picks, notes and labels, tabs, really, you really don't need to use those. I think it's just the other ones that are the most helpful to you. Now, one important thing is after you save it, so we go ahead and save it. Oh, take off the staged. Save it. We want to use a title at the beginning that is the year, the month, and the day. And then a little underscore, and then the name of the layout. And then this is important. Put something at the end that lets you know which map in your drop down it belongs to. Because after a while, you'll have lots of layouts and they're used in different drop downs, and you'll always want to know which one that should be associated with. So you hit OK, and that saves it. So the last thing you want to remember to do is hit that log out button. Now, nothing wrong will happen if you just go ahead and close your browser, but by hitting the log out button, it makes the programming a lot neater, a lot more organized for you. So there you have it. Give me a call and we'll go over this together. Thanks so much.